We're learning the halachot of Rosh Hashanah, the different customs, and some things are established by the Torah, some by the rabbi, some are later minagim. Last time we reviewed the simanim that people eat on Erev Rosh Hashanah. I didn't go to into the question of when exactly to eat the simanim and when to say the bracha. We just spoke about the fact that originally the shulchan-aruch says that you don't have to eat them. Seeing them is enough because it's a reminder of what you want to pray for. There's no magical thing that's going to happen that if you eat apple with honey, your year is going to be sweet. But if you eat it and you think of sweet things, you're going to pray for them and maybe be active to make your year sweet. So that's the idea of the simanim. However, this created complications on when exactly to eat them, because no one originally, when they said you should have it on the table, no one clarified when to eat them. It seems that originally in the time of the Talmud, when this was first brought up, they were just part of the meal. You didn't have to say a specific bracha. It was just part of the meal. Would be the head of a ram or of a lamb, or fish, pomegranates, apple, whatever it was. Today there are you could say three main minhagim which one could follow. Some people eat it before the meal, some after the meal, and some during the meal. Right, so they're all covered. If you eat it before the meal, it creates a problem for people because you say, when should I eat it? After the kiddush, but you're going to wash hands and say hamotzi. So are they covered in the blessing or not? So some say that you only say a blessing for those things that are considered dessert and not part of the meal. So if you say hamotzi, it would cover, for example, the vegetables but not the fruits. If you eat it after the meal, there are two problems. One is that there's no room to eat the meal. There's no room to eat the simanim. And also the question is, whether you say Birkat Hamazon first and then the bracha for them or not. So but each should follow his minhag. But I think the most practical thing is that after you do hamotzi and you sit at the table, the simanim are brought as part of the meal. So you can have a salad where you have pomegranates and the other sweet things, and you can have a dish which contains the squash or gourd, kalawasa, and the beans, black eyed peas, whatever people eat, and that this way there's no problem. It becomes part of the meal and not just a seder before that.
So, excuse me. So when you put for amutzi, so then when you have to eat the apple, with the meal.
Yeah.
So you say again.
Then you don't say a blessing. You know that you just say the prayer for this specific thing. You don't have to say bracha. Yeah, I know people do different things, so I didn't want to get into that. But that's just to recap the issue of the simanim. We did a whole class on that, which is already recorded. But I want to add one more thing here. After the Rema says Nohagim lomar pasuk v'tashlich, which is the basis for the minhag of tashlich, he says Nohagim shelo lishon beyom Rosh Hashanah uminhag nachonu. Some people have the practice to not sleep on the day of Rosh Hashanah, and he says, and it's a good minhag. Now, he makes it. Don't worry, I'll tell you how you can circumvent that and sleep on Rosh Hashanah. So the reference here is to the Talmud Yerushalmi. What the Talmud Yerushalmi says is Haiman de damich beresh shata damich mazaleh. If one sleeps on Rosh Hashanah, his luck will sleep during the year. Now this is a bit unnerving. First of all, because we're concerned about luck and all that, but on the other hand, it's because you read the Talmud, it's supposed to be logical statements. How can one say that sleep is, for one to sleep on Rosh Hashanah will inevitably cause some kind of unlucky events during the year? So, but it's interesting to look at the commentaries on what they say on that, and they say that Ha'arizal, Rabbi Yitzhak Luria, says that after midday, Hari Amar Shachar Hatzot מותר לישון, שכבר נתעורר המלאך על ידי התפילות והתקיעות. The angel already woke up by the prayers and blowing the shofar. Of course we like that. Yeah, we all want to wake up the angels that they will protect us, right? But that concept, even to think of, okay, there are angels up, in the upper world who are sleeping and we have to wake them up, this also looks a little, fantastic. So what is happening here? בבית חדש כתב שהרם ישן בראש השנה. The Bach, Rabbi-Ovadia Sirkis, wrote that one of the great rabbis, probably Haim Ovadia, used to sleep on Rosh HaShana. So what is really the problem here? I think the answer is this. When the Talmud Yerushalmi said originally that Haiman de Damich Bereshata, Damich Mazaleh, he who sleeps on Rosh Hashanah, his luck sleeps throughout the year, that refers to a person who stays home and rides out Rosh Hashanah sleeping at home. This is the idea of sleeping on Rosh Hashanah, meaning that for him it's another day off. I'm not going to work. There's no school. The tefillah is boring. I don't have, I don't know. It's too noisy. They're asking for money. There are many different excuses to not go to the synagogue on Rosh Hashanah. So he stays home and sleeps. What happens as a result that he loses the opportunity to be inspired by the prayers, by being together with the community, by hearing the shofar. So that is the original admonition against sleeping on Rosh Hashanah. It's not about not sleeping at all. You woke up in the morning, you went to the synagogue, you come back home, you had a good meal, you want to take a nap, perfect. Especially since you want to have energy for the following day. So that's why they say, right, like on Shabbat, the same thing. Right. And that's why the Arizal says after midday, it's okay. He wanted to calm people down because anyway, you're not going to make it back to sleep before midday. The tefillah is long and then you have the meal. By the time you go to sleep, everything will be okay. So we should not look at it as a superstition to think that every act that we do on Rosh Hashanah will become automatically the indicator of what's going to happen during the year, but rather that is really an educational concept. The way you take in Rosh Hashanah, if you take advantage of it with the prayers, with the communal experience, this is how your Rosh Hashanah is your whole year is going to end up. I remember a friend of mine in LA told me that he once had this experience. He's an accountant and he's a traditional. So he tries to go to the synagogue once in a while on Shabbat, and definitely on Rosh Hashanah. But that year, the tax return October 14th. What is it? October 15th. Sorry, one day I'm trying to be one day earlier. So October 15th was right on Rosh Hashanah. So he had to stay late in the office, and he kept pushing it and pushing it. And he said, "I'll still make it to synagogue for tefillah for Rosh Hashanah." He couldn't make it the first day, stayed over, and same thing with the second day. So he missed both days of Rosh Hashanah, and then he went to pick up his son, who was my friend. He tells me that he was in LA, Hancock Park. He went to pick him up, and somewhere on Fairfax Boulevard, as he parks his car and he goes to pick up his son, Chabad Chabad comes up to him and he says, "Did you hear the shofar today?" And he said, "No, I didn't." So he blew the shofar for him right there. But he says, he told me after this, when the rabbi left, he said, "I sat on the ground and started crying." Why was he crying? For many different reasons, but one of them, he said he felt that he missed the whole experience of Rosh Hashanah. That for him it was important. Usually he does that, but he couldn't strike the right balance between work and his spirituality, which is extremely important. This is an extreme example, but I think that is what the original intention of the.
At least he didn't sleep, Rabbi.
Coming from an accountant, right? Right. It didn't. At least it didn't sleep. But that is as good or as bad as sleeping, because
you can blow the shofar anywhere, and that's it.
you could blow the shofar anywhere. Yes, you don't have to hear it in the synagogue.
Yeah.
Right, or Shabbat, we don't blow the shofar. That's another
right,
story.
But anywhere it's okay.
Anywhere, yeah. Anywhere which is respectful
Yeah.
and which does not bother the neighbor.
Yeah,
So,
right.
right, that would be okay. So, and we used to do this was always done. I remember when I was a kid, I did it in many other communities that I served. That after the tefillah, we would go to the houses of people who are bedridden to blow the shofar for them, and this way everybody shares in the experience. So let's conclude this halacha. They say also this: Bnei Adam havushim bevet asurim. That's in Siman Taf Kuf Pei Daled. I'm skipping to the next halacha, which is about the Torah reading. So they say this: Bnei Adam havushim bevet asurim, en meviim etzlam sefer Torah. Afilu berosh HaShana v'yom HaKippurim. People who are in prison or are in jail, one would have thought that you could bring Sefer Torah over to them to read on Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, but they say you don't do that. So now we think, okay, we hear that. We say, of course, if you're a criminal, it's your fault. You ended up in jail, and we don't have to take care of you. But we have to look at the original source, when and who said that. So this is quoted by the Bet Yosef, by Rabbi Yosef Karo in his commentary of the Tur. He says, "Katava Mordechai besof perek Hama de Rosh Hashanah." Mordechai was one of the Talmidim of Haim of Rothenburg. Rabbi Meir of Rothenburg lived in the 13th century, and he was the leader of the community in Rothenburg in Germany, and he's famous for being one of the leaders of the generation. He was also the master of Rabbeinu Asher, who was the father of Rabbeinu Yaakov Bar Turim, but also he was imprisoned by the local prince in return for ransom, and he was put in a dungeon tower, and the prince demanded ransom from the community, and Maharam of Rothenburg forbade the community from paying the ransom. He said, "You're not going to pay the ransom, you're not going to redeem me, because this goes against the halacha of en podin et hashvuim beyater al kedei dneihen." You're not allowed to pay an exorbitant ransom, because that will only encourage the kidnappers to ask for more. This is such a wise statement that appears in the Mishnah Masechet Gittin, that if, I guess, modern leaders, when they deal with terror and with other, would have understood that we have a different situation. But anyway, Rabbi Meir Rothenburg himself was the one who ruled not to bring Sefer Torah to the one who's in prison. He was him who was in prison. The community wanted to bring him a Sefer Torah. He says, don't do that. Bnei Adam havushim en meviim Sefer Torah. Why? Because it's disrespectful for the Torah. Don't take the Torah to prison. Even though the person who's there is innocent, is imprisoned by an evil dictator, he still said not to do that. The Bet Yosef quotes here a discussion in the Talmud. בפרק בעלו, בכל אתר את אמר, הולכין אחר התורה, ואך אתם המוליכין תורה אצלו. They ask about the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur, when he finishes the service inside the Kodesh HaKodashim, he goes out, and they bring the Sefer Torah to him. So the Talmud says, usually we go over to the Torah. Now you bring the Torah to the person, it's disrespectful. And they said, in this case, because the Kohen Gadol represents the whole nation and does the service, he brings honor to the people through the Torah, so the Torah is brought to him. There was one more exception. In Babel, they used to bring the Torah to the house of the prince, the Jewish prince who was the head of the diaspora, called Exilarch, and that also Taman al yedei shezar'o shel David meshukah shaminun avdin velo k'minhag avoteihem. They said this is questionable. That was done in honor of the prince, but they should have given more honor to the Torah. Meaning the Gemara was not happy with that. So the conclusion is that Sefer Torah is not brought to prison. But today this halacha is not as applicable. I think prisons in Israel depends on the situation. There are synagogues there, and they allow the prisoners to pray in certain situations. But I think it's inspiring to see the greatness of Maharam Rothenburg, that despite having this interest of being redeemed or having the Torah brought over, he ruled objectively and he said, don't redeem me, don't bring the Torah over. This is the greatness of a true leader.